Welcome back, everybody. We are so grateful to catch up with Emma Hall, of course, transformational life coach, and excited because we get to talk about a few extra things today. So thanks for being here, Emma.
My pleasure. It's wonderful to see you.
Yes, you too. So I like the way you phrased this when you sent me your first topic, and it was talking about how we all have a first aid kit for cuts and bruises and whatever it might be. Most people have one in their home, and there's one at work, at most people's work and things like that. But you wanted to sort of point us in the direction of an emotional a first aid kit for when life hits, when something happens in your life. I mean, what is the emotional, or what is the first aid kit for that, right?
Exactly. And it's funny because when you break your arm right away, you go get help. It's okay to take time off work. But when we're suffering from emotional pain, we don't treat it with the same severity as we do physical pain, but it is very real. And so creating a little emotional first aid kit for yourself can really help to get through difficult things like we were both just talking about.
Yeah.
Your furnace breaking in the middle of the winter.
Yes, Emma and I both share that in common. So this is a great poster. I love this. This kind of really sets people up. So this is how you could build your emotional first aid kit, right?
Exactly. A few different ideas for things in there, like, something comforting, like a teddy bear or maybe a blanket or your favorite cozy clothes. Contacts, phoning a friend. This morning when I got the quote for the furnace repair and started crying, I phoned a friend who talked me off the ledge.
Perfect.
It was really helpful.
Yeah.
Reframing. Also, we talked about, thinking about, okay, how can I shift these thoughts? You can think about, if my friend were in this situation, what would I say to them? Things like that. So there's lots of different little ingredients that you can put in your first aid kit. Everyone's emotional first aid kit is going to be different, and it's going to be different for you depending on what's going on, like whether it's heartbreak or maybe stress.
Yeah.
Different things.
And again, too, it's putting making that a priority, because you talk about the physical wounds that we might happen to people, but it's when it's emotional and others can't see it, it doesn't mean it's not there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So making that a priority.
Yeah. And having your first aid kit, whether it's an actual physical first aid kit, you could put a box together that maybe has
a teddy bear in it.
A teddy bear, some affirmations maybe, or maybe, a card that you received from someone telling you how much they care, perhaps some essential oils, things like that. Another thing, we've got these beautiful little pine cones here. You could have maybe a shell or a crystal in there, things like that. Or maybe your first aid kit might be a little Post-it note on your desk at work to remind you to breathe, for example. Yeah. So it's really sitting down, spend some time thinking about what's going to work for you.
Right.
And then put together your emotional first aid kit and then put it somewhere prominent that you can see it and you're easily reminded to use it. Because when we're triggered, we forget all of our skills and our tools.
Yeah, we do, don't we? It's amazing how that happens. So then the benefit of having it, if you just think about your first aid kit in your mind, maybe that's not as helpful as you say, putting it together and having that sort of tangible first aid kit right in front of you.
Yeah, exactly.
So that would be more beneficial, maybe?
Yeah, the practice of sitting and putting it together is going to help you think about that this is actually, an intentional action that you're taking. So it's going to remind you what makes you feel better. And the actual act of putting it together will stick in your memory then and make it more likely that you're going to implement it.
Right. Yes. That's always the thing, right? We can say we're going to do all this, but then
and how often
it.
do you think about something and then whoosh, it's just gone right away.
Yeah.
So if we try and keep things in our minds, we're just setting ourselves up for failure. If you actually make a list, I love lists.
I do too.
Or make a tangible thing, that's gonna help you in the moment.
Okay, and we're talking about any sort of curveball that life might throw you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It could be maybe you wake up one day and you're feeling really glum.
Yeah, just because.
Yeah. And there's perhaps your favorite tea is in your first aid kit. And you sit and have that and listen to your favorite song.
I like that idea.
Or maybe, maybe something happens and you're just devastated.
Yeah.
And, it can be, they can help for big things and for little things. Like that phoning a friend. And also that trusted friend, if you can tell them about your first aid kit, maybe as well, they can remind you, like,
when you phone them.
Tanya, grab your first aid kit. Yeah. You got your teddy bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems so simple, but it's just a matter of starting that, like just doing it, right?
I feel like, all of the things that I share here and with my life coaching clients are so simple and we already know them if we think about it, but it's hard. Life is overwhelming and there's so much going on. And so it's setting yourself up for success, having, someone to remind you, whether that's your friend or a life coach, remind you of your tools. And the more you use these different tools, then the more that will become your default and automatic. And so then it'll get easier to remember.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Thanks, Emma. Lifeuntethered.com for more information to reach out to Emma, and Facebook, Instagram there as well. We are right back. Stay with us.